I asked if you're saying that people who identify as transgendered are mentally ill.
That's not the tweet that I tweeted. I tweeted that I reserve the right to form an opinion on this.
Here is what Toronto District School Board trustee Sam Sotiropoulos recently tweeted. Until I see scientific proof that transgenderism exists and is not simply a mental illness, I reserve the right not to believe in it.
Is there a cure, do you believe?
I reserve the right to form an opinion, and I have not formed an opinion on this at this point.
But you're saying here it's a mental illness.
What I'm saying is I reserve the right to form an opinion.
He says families are concerned about what their young children are being taught at school.
I'm speaking on behalf of the parents who've come forward, many of them.
I'm asking you what you believe based on your tweet.
I believe I have the right to an opinion.
Well, here I am.
Susan Gapka says she's transgendered and pretty clearly exists. She knows how tough it can be and is concerned the tweet came from a school trustee.
There's trans children going to school, and we want people to feel included. These comments do not help at all.
Being trans is not being mentally ill, and that kind of attitude causes a lot of harm, and it encourages the kinds of people who engage in violence of all kinds.
There have been other tweets with strong wording.
You also referred to Pride Week Parade as a freak show. Why is that?
I never referred to Pride Parade as a freak show.
Toronto World Pride Parade 2014,
I think
freak show with
here.
politicians. It's another one of your tweets. Freak show with politicians.
I never said it was a freak show.
Then we talked about this tweet on homosexuality.
One of the most divisive influences in Canada today is homosexism. Its disseminators are maliciously rabid. That is also one of your tweets. That's also one of your tweets. Care to elaborate?
He did not. The last word lies with voters in his ward.
Maybe the best way to silence Trustee Sam is to vote him out of office.
That, she says, is what elections are for. Christina Stevens, Global News.
There are complaints now filed against you in the wake of that tweet.
At first, the TDSB trustee had no interest in talking.
There are complaints that have been filed against you. You don't want to talk about that?
Then Sam Sotiropoulos settled in for a long chat. He says he's done more research but still hasn't formed an opinion on transgender people.
What do you say to people who are transgender and tell you very clearly they're not mentally ill? This is who they are.
Well, there are people who believe, for instance, in the existence of Yahweh, the Tetragrammaton, the God of the Hebrew Bible. It's a subjective opinion.
His tweet, until I see scientific proof that transgenderism exists and is not simply a mental illness, I reserve the right not to believe in it. And his ensuing comments have created controversy.
At best, they were insulting. At worst, they're discriminatory.
The elementary teachers of Toronto sent a letter of complaint to the school board calling for an investigation, saying the trustees' words are offensive and possibly a violation of the TDSB human rights policy.
We got a lot of concerns expressed by our members through emails and letters about the comments that the trustee made on Twitter and in the interview on the TV.
Will there be any kind of investigation?
So again, I can't comment on any kind of thing that would have to do with any sort of process around complaints.
How many complaints there have been and whether the board would consider censuring the trustee also got a no comment. For his part, Sotiropoulos says it comes back to these anti-bullying posters about gender identity. He claims several hundred parents have come to him, concerned there's too much emphasis on an issue that only confuses their kids.
Often what happens is that this confusion creates turmoil in the home. And they believe it's almost a promotion of a certain type of, for lack of a better term, lifestyle.
So is it a mental illness or a lifestyle?
I have no idea. I have not formed a firm opinion.
Sotiropoulos says he's not backing down.
I will not be bullied by the media. I will not be bullied by the unions. I will not be bullied on this matter.
He promises he'll get back to us once he forms his opinion on transgender people. Christina Stevens, Global News. A talented musician at 16 years old, Adam McMaster has a lot of experience to draw on.
They got thrown through doors and thrown into trash cans.
Bullied because from an early age he knew that although he was born appearing to be a girl, he is a boy.
If you want to go and tell the 4-year-old me that was drawing pictures of me with short hair and playing with trucks and climbing trees that I was a girl, then, you know, go try and do that.
Adam goes to a different school district but says that doesn't lessen how offensive he finds a tweet from Toronto District School Board trustee Sam Sotiropoulos. One which reads, "Until I see scientific proof that transgenderism exists and is not simply a mental illness, I reserve the right not to believe in it."
Is there a cure, do you believe?
I reserve the right to form an opinion, and I have not formed an opinion on this at this point.
But you're saying here it's a mental
illness. What I'm saying
illness.
is I reserve the right to form an opinion.
People like him that are saying it's not right, that I haven't formed my opinion yet he's the Toronto District School Board. He needs to be removed.
But the school board's hands are tied. Sotiropoulos is an elected official, so voters decide if he stays or goes. The board's guidelines reflect that transgendered people are protected by the Ontario Human Rights Code and states within the school district they must be accommodated and be addressed by a preferred name and pronouns corresponding to their gender identity. Adams says he shouldn't have to prove himself.
I know in my head that I'm a boy and that's all that matters to me. It's just really funny that this guy thinks that he knows.
He says it's time for the trustee to get some education himself. Christina Stevens, Global News. A dozen students from 2 schools took their outrage to the TDSB.
Mr. Sotiropoulos was using the TDSB hashtag to spew these derogatory, discriminatory remarks.
They're appalled there's been no action taken in the wake of Sam Sotiropoulos' tweets, including, "Until I see scientific proof that transgenderism exists and is not simply a mental illness, I reserve the right not to believe in it."
It has affected a lot of us within the school.
They say if a student sent similar tweets, they'd likely be suspended. They went to a committee meeting calling for consequences for Sotiropoulos. Sotiropoulos attended the meeting by speakerphone, and he reasserted his right to have his opinion.
You're allowed to have your opinion, but when you bring the TDSB and you negatively impact the climate of every single school in the TDSB, that's where the issue is, when you hashtag the TDSB and use the username Trustee Sam.
Sotiropoulos says he's already been exonerated from any wrongdoing, pointing out the board has taken no action, and a letter from the board's lawyer concludes any formal process to censure the trustee opens the door to accusations of censorship. And Sotiropoulos alleges the students might be part of a larger agenda against him.
A move of desperation on behalf of certain activists, teachers, unions, and the media even, and it's disappointing to me that they continue to use students as political pawns.
Something he repeated in the meeting.
The opinion of the Teachers Federation. Oh, please let me respond to that. Please let me respond to that. I find it quite offensive that you think that I cannot form my own opinion and that my opinion may be of one of my teachers. I honestly think that is the most belittling, degrading thing you could do.
Sotiropoulos has repeatedly said he needs to study the issue more before he forms his opinion on transgender people. Now he says he's had to put that research on pause as he works on his re-election campaign. Christina Stevens, Global News.